When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
The podcast that's getting deja vu all over again.
Oh, all over its face.
All over me, all over you, all over all three of us.
Deja vu that ass. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today,
thanks to you motherfuckers.
oh my God, you assholes.
I know, right? If you're one of those people that doesn't like it when we yell at our listeners, this may be an episode to skip.
Because, Hey, if you're too much of a snowflake to take a little verbal abuse, maybe you shouldn't try three ways.
What's up, fuckers? You all voted. The reason we're angry at you because you all voted on what episode topic you want us to repeat. And we have done threesomes twice before. So we have already repeated it. And you asked us to repeat it yet again. So
Yep. On February 25th, I posted to the Facebook group and asked which episode should we repeat. And Joan Cybersheep put Threesomes XD, that's the like laughing emoji. So they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yep.
And it was just a runaway win. So Threesomes 3 was 36% of the vote.
So here we are.
The next highest was 16% for gay friends.
Mm.
And then just a long ass tail past that. So here we are.
Yeah. But first,
you wanted to read some feedback?
I had some feedback. Yeah, this is from Robert.
Oh, hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert. The subject is Costco hot dogs are gay.
Okay.
Robert says, listen to the latest episode. It's not anymore. This is back in time. Shut up. Okay. Listen to the latest episode, and I love listening to you guys. Costco hot dogs are all beef and good quality with a firm texture and hefty mouthfeel.
Oh
my
God.
queer/gayish friends and I love a Costco hot dog and a root beer. I think if they were pork hot dogs or boiled baseball hot dogs, it would be different, but a rotisserie roasted all beef firm textured dog is gay AF. We do, in fact, occasionally go to Costco just for the hot dog.
Oh my God.
Sent from my iPhone.
I'm leaking pre-cum now. That was a lot.
This has been brought to you by Costco. Use the promo code Gayish to get your Costco hot dog for $1.50.
Oh my God. Well, I have a correction.
Oh, okay.
And this is from Chris to our email. Says, hey boys, correction, Mike. I'm not sure where you heard that the Olympics is trying to tap down on sex, but as I heard from Dan Savage, they're literally handing out 300,000 condoms. Crazy. The beds aren't anti-sex either and quite sturdy. So, and the email goes on, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just carried that forward from a previous Olympics. So there was a rumor going around that the reason that the beds weren't sturdy enough to hold two people is because they were trying to prevent two people from being in bed at the same time. This was
as if that was going to stop people from fucking. Like, oh, we have no other way to fuck then.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's very French that, the Olympics are in Paris right now. It's very French to just say like, bonjour, here's some condoms. So
have le sex.
Yeah, have le sex.
Mm-hmm.
All you hot gymnasts.
Yeah.
Preferably with each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for writing in the corrections. We really do love feedback. And feel free to also leave them as voicemails if you want to, because if they're mean enough, I'll probably ask Kyle to play it. And now the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
Okay, news the first. So a court in Virginia has ruled that a cis student may sue her school district for making her share restrooms with trans girls.
What?
Yeah. So Fairfax County, which is the largest school district in the state, was among several districts last year who rejected Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin's directives to discriminate against trans students, including by requiring them to use restroom facilities matching their gender identity instead of their gender assigned at birth. And But a legal complaint alleges that a student is being forced to violate their, what do you think, Kyle?
First Amendment rights?
Deeply held personal beliefs.
Oh, I thought this was somehow going to be tied to the First Amendment, because that always happens too.
No, like freedom of religion is also the First Amendment.
Oh, that's true.
But basically, the student says, quote, petitioner, that's the student, is a practicing Catholic who believes that God created each person as male or female, that the complementary sexes reflect the image of God, that sex cannot be altered, and that rejection of one's biological sex is a rejection of the image of God in that person. She believes that referring to another person using pronouns that do not correspond with that person's biological sex is harmful to that person because it is false, and harmful to herself because it forces her to lie by denying her religious beliefs and scientific evidence.
That's quite the number of steps to get to that, how she's being actually harmed by this. And it's
also none of your fucking business.
It's no harm at all is the end result of all of that circular trying to force a reason into it.
My deeply held religious beliefs say that I shouldn't lie and not call you a stupid bitch. So I'm going to call you a stupid bitch because I think to tell you that you're not a stupid bitch is harmful to you because it is false.
Right. Yeah. If we're requiring everyone to be as honest as their religion forces them to be, I don't know.
But if this is a county judge, we'll see what happens as it goes through the courts. But this case is moving forward, and there is a organization called America First Legal that is financing her case.
America First is some kind of horrible organization that you don't want to be a part of.
Absolutely.
It's just like my now negative associations with the American flag. It's like, if you're flying the American flag, you're probably some kind of conservative bigot.
Dickbag, fuckface, asshole.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't actually, Derek, put her on the list. We don't have her name yet, but whoever this student is a dickbag, fuckface, asshole.
And probably her parents, right? Like, this has got to be coming from her parents.
You would think so.
Not
right?
Her. I would think it'd be her parents' views that are then influencing her to make this decision.
Yeah. Well, great. News the second.
Okay.
Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance, who may or may not have had sex with a sectional.
Yep. Who loves dolphin women.
I've learned so much about him, Kyle.
Yeah. Do you want? You sound disappointed that you had to learn so much about him.
Yeah. But he wrote this book, Hillbilly Elegy, and in it he says a whole bunch of stuff, including that he thinks it's a normal rite of passage that boys, as they become men, should want to fuck a Barcalounger. And that sex with a couch is just a normal part of growing up, which I'm not saying it's not normal. There are people who legit like put their dick in things and it's masturbatory and they have fun. And coming from the conservative party that says that sex is just between one man and one woman for the purpose of procreation, even if that's a female couch, you're not going to have any babies. This is like sinful and bad. The two things that I learned about him recently that I wanted to talk about really quickly are, first, that in that same book, he says that he believed he might be gay when he was a kid.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. In the memoir, there's a segment where he talks about going to church, and the preacher condemned homosexuality because of course he did. And at that time in his life, he disliked girls, was super close with a boy who was his best friend, and thought, oh, I must be gay. And which I think that's really interesting, because a lot of people ask the question, like, when did you choose to be gay? And then there's this sort of parallel of like, well, when did you choose to be straight? And he sort of thinks that he did or something. I don't know. Anyway, he had like, and I remember being worried that I was gay. So I suppose that is a thing that all boys go through. Just some of us are gay, but it's just so out of step with his virulent anti-gay rhetoric and policy choices that I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting conversation to have around, oh, like you thought you might be gay and you were worried about it. And, why did you think you were gay? And how did you, come to find out that you were straight? Like all of that could be really interesting to actually talk about. But I doubt anyone's going to actually be able to talk about it with like intelligence or competence.
Yep. Well, the other thing that I discovered is apparently he has a really good friend, former classmate, who is trans, and at least as late as 2016, they were still like buddy enough to be sending like frequent text messages to each other, and she was well into her transition at that point. And their friendship ended in 2021 after he supported a bill in Arizona that banned gender-affirming care for youth. So some of the things that they said to each other over the years, first, when he wrote Hillbilly Elegy, he incorrectly referred to her as a lesbian. And the text message that he sent said, quote, "Hey, Sophs," her name is Sophia. So this, "Hey, Sophs." So not just not dead naming her, but also using like a fun pet version of her name.
Yeah.
"Hey, Sophs, here's an excerpt from my book. I send this to you not just to brag, but because I'm sure if you read it, you'll notice a reference to an extremely progressive lesbian. I recognize now that this may not accurately reflect how you think of yourself, and for that, I'm really sorry. I hope you're not offended, but if you are, I'm sorry. Love you." Oh, they them pronouns. I apologize. They wrote back and said, quote, "If you had written genderqueer radical pragmatist, nobody would know what you mean." Apparently, Vance brought them home-baked treats as a recovery gift when they had top surgery.
Wow. JD Vance loves trans people.
And apparently, the text messages also revealed that he attended San Francisco Pride in 2015. He wrote to them, "Happy Pride. I'm thinking of braving the crowds in SF just to people watch." And apparently he went because he followed up with, "It felt more like a frat party than I expected, but still nice to see a lot of happy people." And also, this is back in the day, but does a lot of shit talking about Trump. He sent them a text in 2015 that read, quote, "If he would just tone down the racism, I would literally be his biggest supporter. I'm obviously outraged at Trump's rhetoric, and I worry most of all about how welcome Muslim citizens feel in their own country." He also called the former president a, quote, "disaster," and a text to them says, quote, "He's just a bad man." Anyway, their relationship ended when they just couldn't take this gender-affirming care bill being supported by Vance. And Vance wrote them and said, quote, "I recognize that this is awkward, but I'll always be honest with you. I think the trans thing with kids is so unstudied that it amounts to a form of experimentation." And then they said, "This deeply saddens me, and the political voice you have become seems so far from the man I got to know in law school." He was a never Trumper for a really long time, and apparently slightly less of a dickbag fuckface asshole, and has arrived here, I think, just because it's politically expedient.
Yeah, that would be my best. I mean, and it's worked.
Which makes it worse.
Yeah. Because you're doing it for your own personal gain. You're capitalizing on demonizing an entire group of people that you actually are okay with just for your own personal political gain.
Like, an accidental dickbag fuckface asshole sucks. But to choose to be one because it wins you points with bad people, that's fucked.
Yeah. Whew.
All right, Kyle. News the last. You ready for this?
Okay, I'm ready.
News the last. We have to talk about this opening ceremonies thing of the Olympics last week. Have you been following it, paying attention?
I just know the basics.
It's all over the place. So Thomas Joly, or Joly, he's probably French. I don't know. Is the artistic director of the Paris 2024 opening ceremonies and is under a lot of getting a lot of flack right now for what happened, because there was a drag themed segment of the event that many people, conservative fuckers, have interpreted as being inspired by the Last Supper. Now, everybody has a fucking opinion about this thing. And the one that I think is most interesting is the number of times that the Last Supper has been referenced by culture and nobody cared. You care because it's drag queens.
Right.
And it's not the Last Supper. It's depicting a bacchanalia. It's depicting ancient Greek society and Olympian gods. But they're calling it a satanic drag show that is mocking Christianity online. And I don't know. They sort of issued a non-apology, saying that it said clearly, quote, clearly there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry. That's kind of not an apology, because I don't think anybody is owed one.
I agree. And I think even if it was the Last Supper, fuck you. We're going to, this is literally what the First Amendment, they always claim First Amendment rights, but this is literally First Amendment, right?
Yep. And I also don't understand.
Also, this is in America, so they don't, it's not the First Amendment. Anyway.
Like it's France. Of course it's like, well, first of all, they're super Catholic, but that notwithstanding, it's France. They don't give a fuck about your bullshit puritanical views on sexuality. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me. But what I don't understand is why they think that their God is so fragile he can't handle it. Like there's a couple of groups that are sort of emerging that are angry, like giving backlash to all of this stuff. There's one who's like, children were watching, and to which I say, who fucking cares? Or turn it off if you don't want your shitty kid to see this shit.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Yeah.
But also they like, it's blasphemy. This focus on blasphemy as being like, I don't understand who it harms. And I feel very similarly about like the cartoons about Allah, right? That like, that's strictly verboten in Muslim societies. So there were those cartoons that were going around and being drawn anyway. Like, is your God so fucking fragile he can't fucking handle a little fucking cartoon? Like, what? I thought he was all powerful. Doesn't he have better shit to do? Don't you certainly have better shit to do.
Please tell me you have better things going on in your life other than this.
Anyway, Harrison Butker, like that asshole, is amplifying the fanning the flames. I give up.
He's got an asshole in the name.
Right there in the name.
Right there in the name.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done. That's the news.
That's the news. Speaking of people that are fanning the flames of this podcast, I want to thank the following new Patreon member, Gay Koala. Thank you, Gay Koala. I hope you don't have chlamydia.
Yeah, that joke wrote itself, didn't it?
I mean, and being gay.
Yeah.
Take your DoxyPep, Gay Koala. If you want to join our Patreon and get ad-free episodes a day early and support the show and get merch and get a discount at the merch store and get other cool stuff, then go to patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
Do it.
Do you want to talk about threesomes?
No, we already did it twice. These assholes. Kyle.
Can I just copy paste the last threesomes episode we did here?
Yep, we're going to take a break. And while we're gone, you're going to hear the old episode again, everybody.
And then we're just going to wrap it up. No, we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. And we've talked about, okay. I forgot to say this earlier, or what? I'll say it now again for the first time. What?
Well, okay.
I listened to episode 104, which was the first time we did threesomes.
Okay.
I did not listen to episode 166, which is the second time we did threesomes. And I reserve the right to totally repeat myself, and you are fucking over it.
Yeah. Well, especially because this episode, the second time we did it was in 2020. So it's been 4 years since we did it. I don't remember. I did not go back and listen to the episodes because I don't want to listen to myself talk. I get enough of that editing the show every week. That's plenty to do already. So I did not listen to the episodes and reserve the right to repeat myself.
Yes. It was 231 episodes ago. I don't know what the fuck we said. No idea.
No.
And I know at least one thing that we did say, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's interesting. So fucking listen, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Or don't listen. You get to make your own decisions in life. Something about threesomes that I know we talked about before is that it's like one of the top fantasies of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny because in the gay world, I feel like it's more common. Like the fantasies I feel like that we have would be more like risque compared to what straight people's fantasies are.
Well, and this is a good segue, sort of, Kyle. We need to talk about threesomes. So in episode 104, we went on this big long thing where I was super Mike about what is a threesome, and you got annoyed and it was adorable. And I don't want to repeat that here, but I am struck by a bumper sticker that I kind of want to pass out to people. All threesomes are queer. To some varying degree, right? Like people involved in it are either bisexual, which is queer, or at least pretty okay with some potential homoerotic overtones to what's happening. Like there is some part of the queer umbrella that is happening in every threesome. Do you agree or disagree?
I think I disagree.
Okay, great.
I think everyone involved could be straight.
Okay. How?
If you're a dude and you're not turned on by another dude, you're just okay with him being there. Like I don't think that makes it queer. Maybe the experience is queer, but you yourself are not. Can we make the distinction between the experience and the individual?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that like participating in a threesome, like that's queer and therefore the person is queer. I'm just saying that the event is.
Okay. I could get along with the event itself as queer.
Okay, great. I'm glad we agree, Kyle.
Okay. Yeah, that was easy.
But I do think that it's really interesting because there are like, just like in polyamory and other forms of like consensual non-monogamy, there's the V and there's the triangle, right? Like is there just one person in the middle and then like two branches off of that, and they're not actually really that involved with each other, just with that person in the middle?
Like a spit roast?
Like a spit roast? Or is it a more of a triangle where like everybody is a little bit into everybody and more participatory with everybody?
I think that's the great thing about gay three-ways is that everybody can be into everybody.
Yes. And I think that is what makes queer sexuality, gay sexuality really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Like this idea that like we have this as an option and ostensibly everyone is into it or could be.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
The other thing that I for sure said before that I want to say again is that ménage à trois gets thrown around in language as being the same thing as a threesome, a sexual encounter involving three people. But that's not what it means, or at least that's not what it meant to begin with in French. It means a household of three people. It is more akin to a throuple or triple. And it was so salacious of an idea when it entered the English language that it became a substitute for a three-way. But the phrase itself really refers to like more of a poly kind of a throuple arrangement. And I think that that's fascinating and worth talking about.
Well, great. I did not remember that you said that before. So I'm a perfect person to do this episode again with because I won't have remembered anything.
Great. I love it.
So it's all new again.
Great. Maybe I could just find the track of me speaking then and play
just
it now.
Your audio and play it.
I don't know. Do you say ménage à trois when you mean threesome?
I've never said that before in my life.
Great. Good segment. Now, you mentioned that you have some data about all of this, but you're not sure if it is fresher than the other episodes that we had, or even if you talked about data on them.
This study came out in 2023. So I do know that we did not talk about it before.
Okay, cool.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about symbiosexuality. A review. Oh, this is the title of the paper. Symbiosexuality, a review of discourse of attraction to the third force created by people in relationships by Sally W. Johnston. There's a T in there, Mike, not your relative. Came out in 2023 in Sexuality and Culture Journal, which is I think I'm gonna start doing this.
Oh my God, Kyle.
What?
Are you going to talk about trills on Star Trek? I know you're
Absolutely
not going to.
Not. Absolutely not.
You said symbiosexuality, and I was like, what's like a symbiont? What's a symbiote? Oh my God, that's a trill thing. Oh my God, is anybody who's fucking a trill in a three-way, unless it's two trills banging and they both have a symbiote, and then it's a four-way? Oh my God, you're blowing me away. Star Trek nerds, at me. Let me know what you think. Go ahead. Back to your study or whatever.
I like that I didn't have to be a part of that, whatever just happened.
I know better.
It didn't involve me. I wasn't part of it, and I didn't need to be. Okay, so I mentioned this in the latest Patreon bonus episode that I never just do a Google search of the journals that these papers come from, and I could, and I did. And this is a quarterly peer-reviewed academic journal. So,
look at you. This is growth, Kyle.
I think validating that the journal that it comes from is peer reviewed is a good, very easy step that I could take.
Yeah.
I may decide to talk about research that is not peer reviewed because it might be fun. So, but at least I'll tell you when it's peer reviewed.
Okay.
That's my hope for myself.
Should I like call you out and ask if you don't say, should I ask? Or are you just going to are you presumed innocent now?
No, you can ask because I might not remember to do this. I might be lying to you all right now, and we can't be sure until the future. Johnston and Schoenfeld in 2021 coined the term symbiosexual to describe what, Mike?
Trill sex.
Trill sex. Yes. Star Trek sex between a fantasy race. No, get your mind off of Trill.
Oh, okay.
It describes the individual experience of sexual and or romantic attraction to people in relationships.
Oh,
this is not just, yeah.
You like hooking up with couples.
I like hooking up with couples. I really like hooking up with couples.
So you're one of these.
I might be this. I dated a couple once and I really liked, I remember
the two
how
dicks at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But also like dating, like the dating part was very fascinating and fun for me. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. I remember in How I Met Your Mother, there was this episode where they talk about groups of, in their case, it was women. And it's like when groups of women are all together, they look more attractive than each one individually. And I think I'm like that with couples. I think that I'm attracted to something about the couple beyond just the individual humans.
Sure. Yeah. More than the sum of their parts or whatever.
Yeah. Totally. One plus one is three.
They put in you.
Yeah. But that helps. Anyway, it's not just someone who's open to sex with more than one person. It's not a bisexual person. It is attraction to multiple people in a relationship. And according to this paper, it, quote, remains largely unexplored. They mentioned the app Field, which I'm on, which is designed for group dating experiences, including individuals seeking couples. Mm-hmm. I have...
Did you know we talked about this on episode 104 and it used to be called Threender?
It used to be called Threender. Yeah. No, I'm glad they renamed it. That was a good choice, marketing team.
Yeah.
Always ask a gay before you do anything marketing.
Oh my God, for sure.
There are a few reasons that they claim that this identity is an invisible identity. One is mononormativity, which is the culture of valuing monogamy and assumption that two-ness in relationships is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So we definitely have a culture of mononormativity.
Yeah, we sure do.
But I think that's starting to be broken with the idea of like thruples and polycules
Yeah, I
growing?
struggle with this, Kyle. I struggle
What?
with this because there's part of me that wants to like, because I'm having a successful experience of consensual non-monogamy and have before, even though we got divorced, I and it works for me. That I can't let that then justify my new reaction that like wanting monogamy is bad.
Mm.
And but I know that it's in here, and I have to work hard not to like thrust it upon people, because like maybe for some folks, like it's not about jealousy or being possessive or anything. They're just wired for monogamy, and that's what they need, and that's what they deserve, and that's fine. And I really have to like, I think I'm bigoted, Kyle. I'm bigoted against monogamous people.
Wow.
Anyway, go ahead.
Way to take a stand. No, I like this.
But not really. I don't want to be. Like I'm working on myself, Kyle.
Oh, right. No, yeah, I shouldn't be complimenting you for that. Another reason that symbiosexual is invisible is, here's a quote from the paper.
People don't fucking groups at the grocery store.
Yet.
Okay.
They say respectability politics within polyamorous communities, where polyamorous people seek to distance themselves from a reputation of deviant or unethical sex and relationship dynamics, contributes to symbiosexual invisibility and discrimination. Which I don't know if I agree with that, because I don't know that. And I feel like people in polyamorous cultures and communities are far more likely to help embrace this idea and make it more further known. Not
my first reaction to that was like, it was like back in the days of Frank Kameny and the beginning of the homophile movement in the 1950s, and how they wanted us to dress as conservatively and as straight looking as possible so as to be more palatable to mainstream society. And then there was the like more femme, more queer, more radical wing of the gay rights movement, who was like, no, don't put us in a box. Like, and it also feels a little bit like the kink at Pride conversation, right? About like, do pup hoods and leather and other kinks belong at Pride, or is it a family event and should be desexualized? There's definitely like puritanical policies. What purity, virtue? What was the phrase you used?
Respectability politics and
respectability politics. Like there's definitely that in like the gay rights movement history in a lot of different ways. This feels like that. Like if people having three ways is salacious, then you've got to like wrap it in this like respectability candy to make it palatable to people as part of your marketing strategy or whatever. And some people probably get hurt feelings, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling now.
Yeah. I know, I could see that. You think you might have convinced me. Another reason that it is often invisible is because of the boundaries of desire and orientation within queer discourse. Tends to ignore or discount or discredit this attraction. For me, I think it's just been ignored because I've never heard of it before. So to me, that is part of what they're saying here. I have other fun things that came from this paper that I wanted to tell you. One is research on polyamorous people indicate that three-person dynamics function as the most widely practiced version of polyamory. And it's typically a single person joining an established couple.
Yeah.
Which that makes sense to me. That's the couple that I, want to date with. They're a pre-established couple, and I was dating them as the new person.
Like, I imagine you could start off as a throuple, maybe, but it seems unlikely. It seems like there's always going to be a pre-existing couple that adds a third more than any other arrangement, just by like the way that cause and effect works.
new rom-com idea is a meet cute between three people. How would you that surely that can happen somehow, but to have three people just suddenly meet each other and become attracted to each other and be like, hey, do we all want to go on a date at once?
Yeah, it could be like drawing straws for a bowling league. These three dudes end up on the same bowling team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Having never met before. And then once they start throwing those balls, they start throwing those balls.
Yeah. Or I was thinking someone drops their pen and then all three go down to pick it up and all three of them bump their heads. And they all three look up at each other in the eyes. There is a term, couples privilege, that describes the powerlessness a single person who joins the couple experiences. So there's almost always balancing of like power and this is a big topic in this community. And also, as we often see with newer topics like this, future research is needed to identify people who experience symbiosexual attraction and determine if the term resonates for their lived experience. So this was like one of those papers that acknowledges there's not much research that has been done on this and there needs to be more.
Yeah.
That's the term symbiosexuality.
It's super interesting to me because like we've spent a lot of time now talking about like different kinds of relationships when isn't threesome like a threesome, like a just about the sex part?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, if I say threesome, unless you're talking about golf, then you probably mean the sex part. But I think the point that I wanted to bring to this is one, something new that we haven't talked about before. And also there are dynamics between three people and you can have an attraction to that specifically. Yep. But yeah, we did focus more on relationships rather than the sex part. I think sex, just like in monogamy, like sex is a part of the relationship dynamic that can be exciting. Yep. And you know, there's more going on there as well. I don't want to just reduce it to the sex part, but
yep, for sure.
This reminded me that I need to get back on field and try to find some couples to date.
Do it. Let's do it now, Kyle.
Right now? Okay. Let's swipe together. I'll show you them. No, okay. I've been talking to people and kind of like just the conversations naturally died out. So I might need to like re-spark some conversations that I've been having.
Yeah. I say spark away.
Spark away. I mean, speaking of spark, I joined Tinder.
Oh, how's that going?
It's fine.
Great. Crushing it. All right. Well, do you want to talk about some three ways from history?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I guess the one that I really, really want to talk about, and I forget, I've probably talked about it before, but fucking here we are. You're over it, everybody. Is that Alfred Kinsey of the Kinsey scale?
Mm-hmm.
He and his wife, Clara Macmillan, were in an open relationship sexually, and they for sure had three ways at times. And Kinsey was super bisexual.
No wonder he was so interested in sexuality research.
Right? Yeah. So Kinsey was bisexual, and at least one of his biographers said that he believes that as a young man, he would punish himself for having homoerotic feelings, and that he sort of had this like catharsis where he sort of decided to turn that shame into action. And that's how he got interested in being a sex researcher and the big sort of cultural phenomenon that he turned into by gathering all of his data and publishing it in the 50s. Now, he and his wife, Clara Macmillan, married in 1921, and they agreed that they both could have sex with other people as well as with each other. And he had quite a bit of sex with other men, but he was a repeat customer for his student, Clyde Martin. So it does seem that his journey here let him not only explore these sort of themes that were very taboo and not spoken about, much less like written about. Also, his student Clyde that he was banging didn't die until 2014. He was like almost 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And but he was also married to a woman named Alice. So apparently he was bisexual also.
Everyone was down with everything.
Everyone was down with everything, which is wild, right? It's the 50s. We don't think of that as being how they rolled then.
Yeah.
But so basically Alfred and his wife and this dude like probably hooked up multiple times. But at the very least, he was in this very queer arrangement.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But also he, some people, now that has all come to light, believe that it impacted his research, that there's confirmation bias in his research, that he reported people reporting gay identity, gay experiences way higher than future studies have been able to corroborate, and that it's because he interviewed more gay men, whether consciously or unconsciously, and that it actually skewed his numbers in a gay direction because he was so actively bi.
I want to be skewed in a gay direction. I love that. I think that's great. But the percentage that he came up with ends up not being too far. Like, I think it's the other studies that are underestimating, not his.
It could be. Yeah, maybe it could be. So there's a study in 2016 that said that his survey likely overestimated the frequencies of non-heterosexual attractions and expressions because his statistics show a higher percentage of the American population as homosexual or bisexual than more modern studies do. But to your point, not like it's not so egregious as to say that he was on another planet. It could be sampling error or some other bias in the data. But I do think that's this interesting idea of like, oh, gay people, I'm going to interview them. Because his method really was to go and have in-depth interviews with subjects. And modern studies are designed differently.
Right. Makes sense.
Anyway, so that's a very, very famous three-way.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I wanted to talk about before I hand the baton back to you is, what's the funniest version of this sentence, Kyle? Let me think about that.
Okay.
I'll say it like this. Did you know that the inventor of the lie detector, the polygraph, that he and his wife were in a three-way with another woman, and that's how Wonder Woman got invented?
What? Okay, that's a lot of stuff you just laid out in front of me.
Yeah.
Are you telling the truth?
I'm telling the truth. So there's a movie called Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman, and it came out in 2017, and it's about William Moulton Marston, who ultimately would go on to create the fictional character Wonder Woman. And but he created Wonder Woman well after being a researcher. And so in 1945, in 1928, William and his wife Elizabeth they teach and they work on their research at Harvard and Radcliffe. And one day he hires one of his students, Olive Byrne, as a research assistant, and she helps them invent the lie detector. The three, quote, then soon grow close.
Okay. Okay. I have an idea about what that could mean.
Apparently, when they were testing the lie detector, so they invented the lie detector, the polygraph, and then they were using it on each other. But as you might expect, it then skewed to like fun and sexy topics. But apparently, like giving lie detector tests to each other, they reveal that they've fallen in love with each other, and then
seems like something written for a movie. That seems hard to believe that that's true.
Well, I am describing the plot of the movie, but
okay. That sounds like, playing truth or dare with a group of people in like a sleepover. It sounds like the same idea of like, and then it turns sexual and then someone has to kiss someone. And
Did you like that? Did you like that? Did you like that? No, I didn't. Stop. It says you're lying. You loved it. What is absolutely true though is that that team did create part of the modern polygraph. So they did the part of the polygraph that looked at blood pressure, and he and Elizabeth discussed a connection between emotions and blood pressure, and so they invented this thing, and for sure ended up hooking up with one of their research assistants.
Why has it got to be like the student and the research assistant? Why can't it be just a random third person? That it's always got to be like someone that kind of works for them.
Yeah,
I guess that's how like there's probably no like you can't do what you do these days, which is like, I'm a couple and I want to go on a date with someone. Like they couldn't date people, so they had to fall for people that they were close in their circle.
There's also a lot of like power dynamic, dom sub, like sexual charge to a lot of these things, right?
That's true.
And
I'm back in.
I don't know. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. Okay, so, but they were like, for sure, Polly, like they lived together, and he had 2 children with his wife, and he had 2 children with Olive, the research assistant.
Wow.
Elizabeth gave birth to a son named Pete and a daughter named Olive Ann. So they named the daughter after the assistant that they were banging.
Interesting.
Olive gave birth to 2 sons. And apparently there's a third woman that occasionally would live with them. It's quite the thing. Anyway, so then he created Wonder Woman, like later. So in 1940, there was an interview that was published in The Family Circle, in which he talked about seeing, quote, great educational potential in comic books. And the interview caught the attention of comics publisher Max Gaines, who hired him as an educational consultant and for what would later become DC Comics. And Elizabeth, his wife, thought that he should create a female superhero, and he then passed that idea on to DC Comics, and they were like, okay, sure. And he developed Wonder Woman, basing her on the unconventional, liberated, powerful, modern women of his day. Oh. And
he was surrounded by women, and then he created a woman superhero.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. So apparently her appearance was at least a little bit based on Olive, the research assistant.
Oh.
And then her name initially was Suprema, the Wonder Woman, which that seems like a dom sub thing happening too a little bit.
Yeah. There is some dominatrix out there whose name's Suprema for sure.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, I just thought it was really, really interesting that like what an interesting crew of people to like to work on the lie detector tests and have this like crazy blended family poly situation and invented Wonder Woman. Like for that to all be true about like the same group of people or one dude is just like pretty wild.
Yeah, I've barely done one thing in my life. Let's not get greedy, sir.
Yeah. That's why we think bi people are greedy.
Yeah.
What else you got, Kyle?
What else do I have? I'm speaking of bisexuals being greedy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do an Ask Reddit about bisexuals.
Okay, I'm here for it.
This was posted. Fuck, I didn't write down this. I think it was posted to the bisexual subreddit, but I didn't write down where it was posted. Okay. Motherfucker. I should have done that. Anyway, they posted, any bisexuals here who actually enjoy threesomes? the description. I know there are a lot of negative stereotypes about bisexual people in relation to threesomes. I also get the sense that because of this, there's a lot of negativity in the community about threesomes in general. Anyone here genuinely love threesomes?
Seems like a loaded question, Kyle, with lots of loads.
So many loads, so much to load and unpack and repack. But have you heard this, that there's this kind of negative feeling about threesomes in the bisexual community?
I did not know this. No. And I'm trying to put my finger on like I'm trying to guess like what might be true. And I don't know.
Why don't I just read some of the responses?
All right, hit me.
We'll hear from the bisexuals themselves. One person said, threesomes are a go-to topic of dirty talk for me and my partner, but I have yet to try one. I always wonder if it's one of those things that's better as a fantasy than actually doing it. I might have to be drunk to try it.
Okay.
Which I don't know that needing to be drunk to do something should be the motivator for you. I might rethink that part of it.
Counterpoint.
Sure.
Liquid courage. Go for it.
Okay. How about tipsy?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll agree with tipsy.
I mean, at least the first time. I think that like if you need to calm your nerves a little bit to lean into some new experience, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we need a trigger warning for alcoholism on this episode?
Oh, I don't know. Apparently we don't need to do them at all anymore. It's like enough people hate them.
Enough people hate them?
Yeah.
I didn't know people hated them.
Oh yeah, they're like, it makes it worse instead of better.
There are studies that say they don't work.
Yeah.
But yeah. Someone else said,
what does science know?
What does science know? We also provide a resource to help people. So that part you'd be missing if you didn't have that trigger warning. Anyway, we're not talking about that right now. We can talk about that in a production meeting later. Okay. Someone else said, I feel like it's mostly by women because it gets exhausting for them to like a woman, only for that woman to try to get into a three-way with her boyfriend to keep said boyfriend happy.
Yeah. Okay. There's a pre-existing problem there way before we get to the bedroom.
Yes. Yes, for sure. I have, for the Patreon segment, I'm going to talk about tips to have a good threesome. And one of them, spoiler alert, is don't try to fix relationship problems with the threesome.
Boy, howdy.
Just like some people are like, let's have a baby and that's going to help everything. Like, no, threesomes aren't going to solve your problems.
Yeah, no.
Another person says, I do indeed love them. So there you have it. Straight into the point. Yeah. Buy into the point. Someone else.
I suppose some of this is just about like monogamy bullshit, right? Like, sure, you're bi, but you're with me.
Right.
And then like, if you're with somebody else, what is it about them that's deficient in me that you need can be part of the narrative there. And I suppose there's the even like bigger factor there of like, I don't have a vagina or I don't have a penis. I can never. And so I'm never going to be good enough for this person. It's like, it's entirely possible for that to become your fear. Right. Yeah. And here it is playing out in front of you, like in the same room. There are some humans that are not equipped to handle that level of like reaction.
Are you talking yourself back into liking monogamy?
No, okay. Absolutely not. I'm saying, if anything, I'm saying that that's what's wrong with monogamy. Is like, it's really about insecurity.
Okay. Yeah. Someone said, I like threesomes, but that doesn't mean I want one with you. I've had to say that even though I'm a 56-year-old guy who struggles to find compatible connections. Mm-hmm. Which I like that. I think part of where this is coming from, well, let me read actually where this is coming from. Someone else said, I feel like you're right. There's a stereotype that just because someone is bi automatically means they're into threesomes or orgies. So you're probably going to have an easy time finding people who do actually like it. I think everyone should do as they please, but I absolutely hate the idea of being in a threesome, and I find it terrible how many, one, straight people who date bi people as a fetish because of this stereotype, and two, how many bi people, especially rampant on this subreddit, try to push monogamous bisexuals into trying threesomes, open relationships, or polyamory as some sort of relationship fixer. I was even told once on here that my mindset is outdated and I'll eventually come around. So here's a person that is tired of the stereotypes and doesn't like threesomes at all.
So everybody, always be into what you're into. Don't be into what you're not.
Yep.
And let everybody else do the same.
Yep. Yep. Someone else, the last one, someone said the negativity is about people expecting bisexual people to automatically be up for a threesome and at a ridiculously early stage in a relationship. This puts people who might otherwise be up for a threesome. This puts off people who might otherwise be up for a threesome.
Sure.
So the stereotype that you're like definitely going to be down and bringing it up way too early, I think is a contributor to why some bisexuals may not like threesomes, or they may not like the assumptions that are foisted upon them.
Yep. Well, and I mean, same for gay dudes, right? Like when is the right time to, the presumption is that you're going to be into group sex, that you're going to be into other dudes at like when is the right time to talk about that, explore that, bring that up? Or is it just, I don't know.
I mean, isn't it obvious when you should bring up threesomes? The third date.
Oh,
You're like, hey, because this is the date number 3, let's talk about things that involve 3.
Okay, that makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you can make it on theme.
Great. We'll talk about Three Stooges.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a third dude that we're going to bring home with us. And we're going to talk about
stools.
And the Holy Trinity.
And, yeah. Is that the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit?
Yep.
Great.
Yep. There's a porn I hope exists.
Oh, I would love that on Say Uncle, probably.
See, it's no Last Supper at the Paris Olympics, but it's just as blasphemous.
Yeah, for sure.
God help us.
What more do you have, Mike?
Well, Kyle, you're going to be upset, I think.
Oh, okay. Why?
I was trying to find a threesome that I could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And the joke I was going for was just threesomes that are trios, musical trios.
Okay.
And I started with the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees were, they were all straight except for their pants. And then I went down this whole rabbit hole about, you remember Wilson Phillips?
Yeah.
Hold on for one more day. Apparently China might have been banging her dad. Like,
ooh.
Which I don't know, but there's none of this had anything to do with like sexuality, really. There's the Springfields, which they were back in the day a trio, but really only one of them made it, and that was Dusty Springfield, who was for sure either lesbian or bisexual or maybe ace. So there's like kind of a connection there. But really, when I first thought I'm going to do a joke about a band, I went with Hanson.
Oh, no.
Right?
Are we talking about Hanson and threesomes?
Yes, we're going to talk about Hanson and threesomes. Well, first, they are a threesome, Kyle. There's no getting around that. That's just math.
True. That's true.
In case you were not alive in the 90s, we're talking about Isaac Taylor and Zach Hanson, best known for their 1997 hit Bop.
Yep. Picture Jonas Brothers, but for Mike and my generations.
They're from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they were only 16, 14, and 11 years old at the time that song came out.
Can you imagine being 11 and having a hit song like that? Or
being 11 and being a drummer.
That's true. Being good at anything. What was I doing at 11? Fucking farting and shitting myself. I don't know.
So there's two things I want to talk about. The first one, Kyle, is I remember being very closeted, and thinking, this is the worst ever. Please forgive me. It was the 90s. I remember thinking those girls are kind of cute.
I remember seeing someone interview, they showed on MTV, I think they showed the video to people and got their reactions. And that was one of the guys' reactions. It was like, oh, those girls are pretty cute.
Because they had long hair.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's some like gender ambiguity to boys that can come through as girlishness, especially when I wasn't used to seeing really long blonde hair on boys or men. And that song, you could not get away from that fucking song. It was everywhere.
Everywhere. Everyone knows that song if you were alive then.
But yeah, I was like, and then when I found out that they were boys, I was like, oh no.
Oh, did that throw a wrench into your sexual self-conception?
There was that. There was like, oh, now like I'm probably not even supposed to be into the oldest one, which I was 18. He was 16. Okay.
Well, that's fine.
But yeah, I would like, anyway, okay. It was very confusing to me, Kyle. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Confusing time in life anyway.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Here's the really bad part. I know that you still listen to them, right?
I was just trying to find on my phone a song that I like. There's one other song that I've heard of theirs that I really like, and I don't know what it is.
They were on season 5 of The Masked Singer.
Oh.
Which I guess that's a spoiler, but you've had 3 years to watch it. It was 2021. So I reject your claims of spoiler. We have to stop. We have to cancel them. And I'm really sorry.
Why?
So first, Zach. Details of Zach's Pinterest account were leaked in November of 2020. And it was, quote, a trove of pro-gun memes, many of which were racist, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist.
Wow.
So his now deleted account shared memes that supported George Zimmerman in the killing of Trayvon Martin.
Oh, no.
Compared the right to use an AR-15 rifle with Rosa Parks' right to sit on a bus.
Ooh.
Suggesting that men cannot support gun control without being gay. And insisting that, quote, any man wanting to dress like a woman must be mentally ill.
Oh, no.
At first, he defended the posts, and then later, of course, apologized when it affected their bottom line or something.
Right.
I don't know, but said, quote, the leaked Pinterest page provided a distorted view of the issues surrounding race and social justice, which do not reflect my personal beliefs. I apologize for the hurt my actions caused. He did not fucking write that sentence.
No, he absolutely didn't. He paid someone $100,000 to write that sentence.
And then nothing too crazy about Taylor as far as I can find, but then there's also Isaac, and Isaac wrote on his Instagram story about the COVID-19 pandemic that Christians would soon have to decide whether their faith was more important than their fear due to Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving being canceled by the government.
Oh, no.
He wrote that he, quote, will not comply, that he fears God more than death or the government. But basically was like, yeah, we should not, this social distancing thing is horse shit because Jesus.
God sent you masks and God sent you scientists to research these issues and tell you and make recommendations. Like, God sent you a lot of the tools to deal with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And you just got to listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Open your heart to science.
Open your heart to science. God gave us science. Anyway, so even though I would still probably bang any of them.
Me too. Oh, no.
Taylor is the one that we can still bang.
Okay. Is that the middle one? Yes. I think he was the hottest one, right?
I don't know. The youngest one, when he got older, like ended up being pretty attractive.
Oh.
But I deacon in the Eastern Orthodox Church now, which, like, you know, that's not great. They're all married. They all have kids. Taylor has 7 kids.
Holy shit.
But anyway, yeah, it's really Isaac is the problem, the oldest one, the one that I was initially okay with being attracted to, because at least he was close to my age when I was figuring out that he was a boy.
Oh no.
But
your life has come full circle. Now you have to rebuke him.
Yeah. I mean, that's some pretty unforgivable shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Hanson.
Is this the part of the episode where I mentioned that I love the song 3 by Britney Spears?
You did in both of the other episodes, I think. So you
surely did. At this point, it was just my requisite mention. I just needed to get it in there under the wire.
Wait, hold on. Say it again, and I'll react the way that I did the first time. We'll see if you react the same way.
Okay. I love the song 3 by Britney Spears.
Oh, is that about threesomes?
Oh my God. Of course it is. Is that?
And then you said the lyrics.
1, 2, 3, not only you and me got 180 degrees, and I'm caught in between, counting 1, 2, 3, Peter, Paul, and Mary, getting down with 3P. Everybody loves counting. 3 is a charm, 2 is not the same. I don't see no harm, but are you?
Okay, stop
game?
now.
I could keep going. The video's so good too. She does a lot of good dancing. Okay.
Is there any twirling?
There's not as much as Instagram.
Are there any
but there
knives
is some.
or not being a roller coaster?
There's no knives. There's no screaming about roller coasters, unfortunately. So okay. Instagram is going to be your go-to source for those. But yeah.
All right. Well, this has been your Britney corner.
Do I need to start having one every episode?
Maybe so. Okay. So for the Patreon segment, you're going to do tips about 3 ways.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I declare this now.
What?
Even if it wins a future poll, we are not fucking doing Threesomes 4 because it's Threesomes 3 and that's perfection and it has to stop.
And the madness has to stop somewhere, Mike. And it's right here. And we get to make these decisions.
Our listeners are why we can't have nice things, Kyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to take a break and Kyle's going to tell me about tips for threesomes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Mike.
Are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest, but first, hey, listen.
What?
Our 400th episode is coming, and we need your cues so we can A them.
Yes, please. We need lots of questions. If you have never submitted a question before in particular, please do it now for the first time. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes. Send your cues to fuck my ass, Kyle. To Gayish Podcast +400 at gmail.com. Gayish Podcast +400 at gmail.com. And that'll put them in a super secret place that we won't see them, except Derek will see them, but whatever. And don't forget, fucking Dan is going to be with us. So you can ask him all kinds of craziness because he's way more interesting than we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And Derek's going to be joining us as well. So you can ask Derek all the questions you've always wanted to know about him.
Great.
Yeah.
Also, we're doing a contest for our 400th episode. And it makes me happy.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So because this is the Threesomes 3 episode and we're never going to talk about threesomes ever again, we would like you to send us your favorite group sex story. And Kyle and I will pick out our favorites and announce it on the 400th episode. And the winners, because yours is going to be different than mine. We won't agree. Let's just each pick one.
Okay.
We'll get your choice of merch from the merch store. So send in your favorite group sex story, please. I'm so excited. Group sex.
And it's on theme because this is our fantastic 400. There's 4 of us. It's a whole group. It's a whole theme thing.
Yeah, you sound so excited about it, Kyle.
I did it good. I started out strong and then really went downhill as I kept talking.
Oh God. Well, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We're on social media at Gayish Podcast, or you can find our Discord server or Facebook group at gayishpodcast.com/contact.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, especially if it's your gayest and straightest, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com, or send your questions to gayishpodcast+400@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109.
Okay, do you want to do our gayest and straightest?
Now let's do our gayest and straightest.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I was in Mexico for a while, which is why we're recording on Monday and why my sound sounds weird. But the straightest thing about me is just the sheer mass quantities of micheladas that I drink, which that's beer and tomato juice mostly with like spices. And I drank one that was like as big as my head. It was like a gallon of beer.
I saw that picture. That was an inordinate amount. It is an unruly amount of alcohol for one drink.
Yep. And you know how I like beer. It's right there in the theme song, Kyle.
It's right there in the theme song.
And then the gayest thing about me this week was going out in Zona Romantica, which is the neighborhood in Puerto Vallarta. And there was a little like lady on the street who was selling 2-for-1 gay underwear. And I bought street underwear for my boyfriend. And
you bought street underwear?
Yes, it was great. It was great. And then I was very surprised, but we were pretty drunk when he changed into them right there on the street.
Okay, great. Of course. Were they cute?
Very cute. Would buy again.
Would buy again. Would recommend.
Yeah. How about you?
My gayest is putting this like coffee-based tincture I bought online under my eyes.
The word tincture is gay.
Yeah, I don't know what it's actually called or what it actually is, but I know it's this coffee-based kind of solution.
Is the coffee supposed to like make you awaker or something?
It's supposed to rejuvenate your under eyes.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. Doing anything to my skin. I never do anything to my skin other than wash it with soap. So like if I do anything to my skin, then that's automatically going to be my gayest.
Skincare is queer.
Yep. My straightest is I grunt whenever I stand up. I'm like a 90s sitcom dad.
Maybe we should start doing gayest, the straightest, and oldest.
And old, yeah, this is just my age for sure. We have a listener's gayest and straightest.
We have a listener's gayest and straightest this time. It is from our voicemail, which we love. It's Rob in Connecticut. Let's go.
Hey, Mike and Kyle. This is Rob in Connecticut, who you named on your Patreon thank yous as the Surgeon General. I have a gayest and straightest. My straightest this week was using the 7/16-inch wrench instead of settling for the 1/2-inch one in tightening the bolts, anchoring the headboard to the bed frame of my bed. And my gayest was mailing a 4-page letter of groveling, apologizing, praising, thanking to my master after having betrayed him, hoping to shorten the silent, distant method he uses as punishment. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
You're in agreement that Rob is a naughty boy and should be punished, right?
Rob is a naughty boy. Well, you need to send us your letter as well so that we may too forgive you.
Oh, Surgeon General Rob, I'm so proud of you. And good luck on doing the carpentry, because did we do it?
Yeah, we did it.
Thank you to everyone who's ever had a threesome.
Yeah, thank you to those who are actively having threesomes right now. If you are, high five right now. What?
Oh yeah, high five, 3-way high five.
3-way high five. And thank you to our super gap bridgers. Thank you to Locomotive, Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squoggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crawley, Yost Osel, Jonathan Montanius, Forrest Nail, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Covington, Just Jamie, Thomas B, Dusty Sands, A. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your money. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
And you and you.
Your audio is kind of echoey.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's just you're in a different room.
I'm in a different room, and this one is echoey.
Yeah.